may give a mod to a grocer. A person may give a mark to a grocer or to a baker in order that he may give possession in an Arab. These are the words of Rabbi Eliezer. But the comments say his money does not affect possession. But they concur that in regard to other people, his money gives him possession, and we cannot make an Arab for a person except with his consent. Rabbi Yehuda said, to what do these words apply? To Eruvin, to Chumen, but in regard to Ered Kazeros, we may make an Arab with his consent or without his consent, but we may benefit a person in his absence. But we may not disadvantage a person except in his presence. Um, how do we make a communal Erev Techum? We place a barrel and declares, let this be for all the people of my town. For whoever will go with to a house of mourning or a house rejoicing, whoever ever accepted this while it was day is permitted, after dark is prohibited, because we cannot make an Erev after dark. What is its quantity? Food for 2 meals each person of his food for a weekday, but not for the Shabbos. These are the words of Reb Meir. Reb Yehuda says for Shabbos, but not for a weekday, and both intend to rule leniently. Ben Yochanan ben Broka says a loaf worth a punyan when 4 saw costs a seller. Reb Shimon says 2/3 of a loaf, of which there are 3 to a kav, and half of it for a house infected with saras, and 1/4 of it to render one's body puzzle. Okay, now we're on to
Okay.
new ones.
Gimel, Anshe Chatzer, Anshe Mirpeses. Okay, so what's your setup over here? Is you've got a house that's on 2 levels. You've got a lower story and an upper story, and there, if you can imagine it, there's some sloping there's some ground that's shared between them. So if you have them one next to each other, and then and then the ground is next to the two next to the two places. Okay, so basically the best case would be that they made an Eruv together and then you don't have any worries. But you've got this Chatzer that's in front of the building, and there's no Eruv Chatzeres between them. So who does the land belong to? Kol shegavua asar tfachim lamipreses. So anything that is higher than 10 tfachim in the land adjoining these two houses is judged to be the property of the upper story, right? But anything below that belongs to the chatzer. Chulias habor v'hasela. Let's just see. Chulias habor v'hasela. So you've got the sand that was dug out of a hole or whatever, that's piled up next to it. Gavoim asarat tvachim lo peses. So again, if the pile reaches 10 tvachim high, then that space can be used by the people in the mepeset. Pachos mikan chatzer, anything less than that belongs to the lower floor. But medvarim amurim, but take note, this does not apply in all cases. This is talking about bismucha, when it's right next to the building. If you've got like a bump or something that's further out from the building, afilu gavoa asra tvachim lechatzer, then it all belongs to whoever's on the lower floor, because you can't access it from the top. If you can't access it, then it doesn't belong to them. Ezo hismucha, and what is considered close to the building? Okay, kol she'ena rechoka arba tvachim. So it's got to be within 4 tvachim of the building
Right.
in order to be counted as close enough for use. Yeah. Dalid hanosenes erev bebeis shar. What if a person takes his erev food and puts it into a gatehouse? Achsadra mirpeset, or achsadra is
Colonnade.
Thank you.
Colonnade.
Thank you. A colonnade or a merpeset or a balcony. These are places that are not for human dwelling. Eino erov. It's invalid. You put it in the wrong place, and it's considered null and void. V'hadar sham eino oser elav. And if somebody actually does bunk down in one of those places, he doesn't mess up the erov, even if he doesn't participate. Tevin or bakar eitzim otzar. So in the straw storehouse, or the cattle shed, or a wood storehouse, or a granary. These are considered places where it would be comfortable to bunk down, and therefore it's suitable for dwelling. Hareza eruv, and therefore putting an eruv food is valid over there. And furthermore, if somebody actually bunks down in those places, darsham or seralav, he has to participate in the eruv chatzeros, otherwise he creates a blockage.
Okay.
However, if the Baal Habayis retains the right to walk into the building where the person is sleeping or renting or whatever, then it's not considered like it's a separate dwelling. He still has the right to walk into the place. It's not a separate dwelling, and there's no break in the Eruv. This, incidentally, is the reason why you're allowed to carry within a hotel. Okay, because
I never thought about
you think
that. I
about it,
never
if
thought
you're,
about
if you're in a hotel over Shabbos, each room is a separate rental, right? Neighbors aren't allowed to go into, you're not allowed to go into somebody else's room. Every place is its own little rental. So that's this very halacha over here. What happens in the morning when you walk out of your room? Room service, boom, boom. They come in, they clean up, they do whatever. So they have still retained the right to walk into the room. And because of that, the whole hotel is considered one rishus.
never thought of it.
Yeah. Okay, so this is an important thing. Like
Right.
room service is what allows you to carry throughout the hotel. Okay. Hey, hamaniach es beiso v'halach lishbos be'ir acheres. Okay, so you've got a few residents in the cluster house, and one of them decides to go to Yerushalayim for Shabbos. Okay, hala. Echad nochri ve'echad Yisrael. And says the Tanna Kama, it doesn't matter if it's a non-Jew or if it's a Yisrael who's gone away. Harei ze oser divrei Rabbi Meir. So now he can't join in the Eruv because he decided not to join in the Eruv and he's not there. So now he is still a blockage, says Rabbi Meir, and the remaining residents cannot carry into the Chatzer, and he's not even there to waive his rights in the Chatzer. Rabbi Yehuda Omer Eino Oser. Rabbi Yehuda takes exactly the opposite. He says he's not there. He's got a vacant dwelling. Nobody has his rights, and therefore everyone is allowed to carry in there. Rabbi Yossi takes the nuanced view. Nochri Oser Yisrael Eno Yoser She'ein derech Yisrael lavo b'Shabbos. He says that it matters if it's a non-Jew or Jew. If the Jew has gone to Yerushalayim for Shabbos, you know for sure he's not coming back. It's Shabbos, he can't come back. The Goy, however, can get in his car and drive back. So the Goy has still maintained his rights in his property, and therefore he answers. And I think the halacha is like Rabbi Yossi here, yes. Okay. Um, Rabbi Shimon Omer, afilu hiniach beiso v'halach lishbos eitz al bito b'osa ha'ir, eino oser shekvar hisya milibo. Even if he said, I'm going within Beit Shemesh. I'm going to spend Shabbos at my sister-in-law in Nofei Aviv, or at my well, actually, let's definitely use the case of the Mishnah here. I'm going to go and stay by my daughter in Ramat Gimel. So now everyone else in my neighborhood around here will say, well, he's not here, so, and he's waived his rights. So since he's going to be staying there for the whole Shabbos, we know he's going to stay there because he wants to be with his daughter. Why is he going to come back? Okay. Eino oser shekvar hisia milibo. However, there are commentaries that say, is it the Gemara? Yes, the Gemara actually. Gemara Dafka comes and says that it's Dafka his daughter, but his son. Not so much because there's the risk that he's going to come into conflict with his daughter-in-law. Why? Because women, I guess, are more temperamental, and he's going to he or his wife might come into a conflict with their daughter-in-law, and they decide, okay, we're walking home. Not
Remember,
worried
you're
about
recording this.
their daughter or their son-in-law. The son-in-laws are, even tempered.
Right.
Okay, I don't know. The Mishnah and the Gemara are sometimes really not politically correct, but anyway, the halacha does follow Rabbi Shimon in this case.
Okay, good. All right, I got to go because my wife made dinner, so I'm going to get
Okay,
in trouble.
go have
All right,
done.
so I'll finish
Thank you very
everything
much.
tomorrow. See you tomorrow. Thank you. Thank
Bye.
you. Okay, be well.